Hello everybody, it's Table Reviews here, and today I'm reviewing the Yolopark Scourge from Rise of the Beast. Now to start off, I just want to say this figure looks very, very good. All the details there, and given that this is a model kit, it does not transform, which is why it does look so good. But, you know, you have to have pros and have cons, so you get what you get and you don't complain. Now, I would start off with the box, but I currently don't have it on me, but there is some really beautiful artwork on it, which I would show you guys, but you could look up an image if you really want to look at the box, but it's not interesting enough to show. Now we're going to look at the painting and sculpting on the figure, and I think the painting is mostly pretty good. All the little red details on his chest are there. All his symbols from all the Transformers he's killed out there. Everything that needs to be there is there. There's even a little spring detail, a little red spring detail inside his leg, and that's pretty cool. And you know, the silver and the dark gray paint go really well together, and I think it makes them look really good, and the colors pop even though they're very plain. Now to move on to the articulation. Now this articulation is a lot better than a lot of other figures that I have, but it's not the best either. There's a ball joint at the head and a ball joint at the neck. He can look up that far, and look down, not really at all. Now the joints here are kind of complicated to explain. There's a hinge joint right here that can lift this flap up, so his arm can move out this much, and the shoulder pad is on a ball joint. So you can move in any direction, but the shoulder pad can move up so the arm can move up, and the arm moves out that far. And there's a hinge joint here on the arm at the base of where the shoulder connects, and then there's another hinge joint right where the bicep is, so you can make his shoulders go up and also down. He can do a full 360 rotation, which is pretty good. There's also swivel right there, and a double bend at the elbow. Pretty good articulation. Now the joints are nice and tight, so he can hold all the poses that you want to put him in, which is really nice. And on this hand, the claw hand, he has a hinge joint here and a hinge joint here on all the claws, individually articulated, and it does spin, but he doesn't come with another hand. On this hand, however, he has his normal hand, and each finger has a hinge joint, right there. Okay, the camera's not focusing. A hinge joint right there, and then a hinge joint on the thumb that moves back and forth instead of up and down, and then a hinge joint here that moves down. And all of these fingers are individually articulated, so you can put him in poses. But they do move together sometimes, so it might be kind of hard to see they move together, so it might be kind of hard to pose them. As for torso and waist articulation, he has a small swivel here, not that big. There's also a waist swivel that can go almost all the way around. There's kind of an arcing back. It can bend backwards, but not very well. There's no bend forward, which is tragic, but that's what you get. And the leg moves out that far and back that far. But if you pull, there's a joint right here. If you pull it down like this, see, you can see it's here now. It goes up really far. It can go 360 on now. So it has a big range of articulation. And there's also cool thigh swivel on the inside. So the thigh doesn't move, but the inside does. There's also a bend at the knee, but you're going to have to lift this flap up to get the full bend, which is a double bend, by the way. And then there's also a bend at the toe here. A little bend at the toe. And there's a flap on the back of his foot. See, this is where the flaps are on the joints. You need to, with the flaps up, you can't move his leg far up at all. But there's a flap here which if you move up, you can move his foot up now, and you just fold it back down. That's pretty good engineering. There's also a decent pivot. It's not that good, but it's pretty good for this size of a figure. Now, as for accessories, you get his blade, which is very long and very detailed. There's little cracks in it, and there's lots of mechanical detail. And it can hook into his arm, right there, right beside the Autobot symbol. It tabs in like so, just like in the movie. And now he can hold the blade, which is pretty cool. He also has his arm cannon, and all you need to do to put it in is to take this one out, like that, and then spread this out, and then it just pops in right there. And that's a pretty cool accessory, but this next one is probably the coolest. You get a faceplate. Well, kind of a faceplate. It's just an extra piece for the face, because his faceplate can actually come off, which is pretty cool, revealing his face. And there is like a indent there for where the mask goes, so you can actually take this one off and replace it with this one with no indent, just like in the scene where he got his mask kicked off. And I saved this point of articulation for now. There's a hinge joint at the mouth that's kind of tight on my copy. I'm not sure for other copies, but it is possible for it to go down. It's kind of hard for my copy, but that's a pretty cool feature. Didn't expect to see that on this figure, but it's still pretty good. Now, would I recommend this figure? Yes, I would. The detail is on point. Everything that needs to be there is there. You even have the little chain detail right there, which is pretty cool. And overall, I give it a 9 out of 10. The only thing holding this back is the articulation, especially on the foot. The pivot could be better, but it's still pretty good. One thing I don't like about this design is that, you know, it is a cool redesign, but it kind of looks like a Michael Bay action scene. And just like a lot of the Autobots and Decepticons that we see in the Bumblebee movie and Rise of the Beast, they all have a new modern redesign that looks like this, but it still looks pretty good, and not like the Bayverse Transformers, which look pretty bad. But overall, I would recommend getting it. It was $35 off of Amazon, and it was well worth the money. Now for the size comparison. Here is the Yolopark G1 Optimus Prime I reviewed last time. The Studio Series Optimus Primal, which I haven't reviewed yet and probably will in the future. And last but not least, the Studio Series Scourge from Rise of the Beast, with that hideous neck. So, overall, this figure is well worth the money. And if you want to pay extra money for the premium version of this, which comes with extra weathering, and it doesn't just look plain, you can do that, but it's like $70 to $80, which I'm not willing to pay for something this big and with not that great articulation, but I do recommend getting it. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you want, and if you don't like the videos you're seeing, put comments down below and tell me what you do want to see. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.